Nicole van den Hurk's name has become synonymous in the Netherlands with tragedy, perseverance, and the long, winding road toward justice. Her case, spanning over 2 decades, involved advanced DNA analysis, multiple trials, and latterly bitter legal disputes. Yet before the headlines, Nicole was a young woman with her own story, one cut short far too soon. Nicole was born on the 4th of July 1980 in the German town of Erkelenz as Nicole Techtmeier. Her early life was shaped by both movement and family change. When she was still a young girl, her mother, Angelica Techtmeier, began a relationship with a Dutchman named Ed van den Hurk. The family relocated to the Netherlands, where Angelica and Ed married, and Nicole took her stepfather's surname. Life in the van den Hurk household did not remain stable, however. In 1989, when Nicole was 9 years old, her mother and stepfather divorced. Custody was awarded to Ed, and Nicole remained with him, her stepmother Yolanda, and several siblings. This arrangement would last until her mid-teens, but tragedy struck again in April of 1995 when Nicole's mother, Angelica, took her own life in Tilburg. By then, Nicole was living with her grandmother in Tongulra, a district of Eindhoven in the Dutch province of North Brabant. Those who knew Nicole described her as a friendly and hard-working individual, and at the time of her disappearance, she was employed in a seasonal holiday position at a shop in the Woncel shopping centre. She had the habits of many teens her age, cycling to work, making plans with her friends, and looking ahead to the next stage of her life. But on an early autumn morning in 1995, her path would take a fatal turn. Friday the 6th of October 1995 began as an ordinary day. Before dawn, at around 5:10 a.m, 15-year-old Nicole set out on her bicycle from her grandmother's home, heading towards work at the shopping centre. However, she never arrived. Concern grew as the hours passed, and Nicole was reported missing at 4:10 p.m. By about 6 p.m. that evening, police had discovered her bicycle submerged in the Dommel River. Police conducted searches in the river and nearby forest until October the 17th. 2 days later, on the 19th, Nicole's rucksack was found near Eindhoven's canal. This discovery intensified the search. Divers and officers scoured the waters and riverbanks on October 20th and again between the 28th and the 29th of October, but no further clues emerged as to Nicole's whereabouts or what had happened to her. Some suspected abduction and possible foul play. Others believed Nicole may have vanished of her own volition. Nicole's family couldn't fathom a situation where this could have been the case, but many speculated that she may have gone to Germany to be with extended family. Her stepfather denied this was at all likely. As the days turned into weeks, the community mobilised. Approximately 300 or so tips poured in to the local authorities, and on November the 22nd, a passer-by in the woods between Mierlo and Lierop, approximately 20 to 30 minutes away from the Van den Hurk home and 12 kilometres from where Nicole's bicycle had been found, stumbled upon the 15-year-old's body, covered with pruning waste and clearly having been dragged through to the location. The autopsy revealed a violent death, a fatal stab wound to her ribs, 2 jaw fractures, and injuries to her head and fingers. On November the 28th, about 1,000 mourners attended her funeral, a testament to the impact her short life had on those around her. From the offset, the case proved difficult. On October the 24th, 1995, even before Nicole's body was found, an anonymous man called police claiming to know the killer's identity, but the call ended abruptly. Authorities broadcast a recording of the call on national television in January the following year, but the mystery caller never came forward. Leads surfaced, but many proved false. One family acquaintance, arrested for drug trafficking, claimed to have been coerced into smuggling heroin by men involved in Nicole's killing. His testimony, however, collapsed under scrutiny. Both Nicole's stepfather and stepbrother were arrested briefly in May and June of 1996, but were cleared of any involvement. By 1996, the investigative team was reduced to just 4 detectives. In 2004, a cold case review yielded nothing conclusive, which was another blow to her family. The murder seemed destined to remain unsolved. But then, the case took a dramatic turn in March of 2011, when Nicole's stepbrother, Andy, who had moved to England, posted a Facebook message confessing to her murder. Police in Britain arrested him, and he was extradited to the Netherlands. Yet, within 5 days, Andy was released. The Facebook post was the only evidence against him. Andy later claimed he had falsely confessed to prompt authorities to exhume Nicole's remains for DNA testing, believing this might finally solve the case. Whether motivated by guilt, frustration, or a genuine desire for justice, Andy's confession did spark renewed investigation, and it was crucial. A new cold case team exhumed Nicole's body in September of 2011, extracting new DNA samples. Soon after, police announced they had found foreign DNA belonging to neither Nicole or her boyfriend on her remains. The discovery itself of the DNA was pivotal. In September of 2000, a young woman in Valkenswaard had been abducted from her bicycle and sexually assaulted at knife point. The perpetrator in that case, S.D.D.C, had been convicted in 2001. His modus operandi closely resembled Nicole's case. When police compared DNA from the 2000 case with Nicole's sample, there was finally that long-awaited breakthrough. It was a match. On January the 14th of 2014, authorities arrested 46-year-old S.D.D.C. His DNA matched semen found on Nicole's remains and hair found on her jacket. S had a criminal history of sexual violence, including 3 prior rape convictions. Investigators also noted that he had left his ex-girlfriend's home after a fight just hours before Nicole's disappearance. Despite the DNA match, the case was far from straightforward. Nicole's body had lain outdoors for nearly 7 weeks, and the samples collected in 1995 were at high risk of contamination. DNA experts from multiple countries, including specialists from the Netherlands Forensic Institute, Independent Forensic Services, and cybergenetics in the United States, examined the mixed samples using advanced genotyping programs. The results revealed 2 clear male DNA profiles, one belonging to Nicole's boyfriend at the time, and the other to S.D.D.C. However, there was also unexplained peaks in the data, leading to speculation about a possible third DNA profile. This uncertainty became the centre of the legal battle. The trial began on the 2nd of November 2015. Yoss denied knowing Nicole, later suggesting that if they had had sexual contact, it might have been consensual, and days before her disappearance, a claim prosecutors rejected outright. Witnesses testified that Yoss had once admitted to killing a girl who had mocked him, though the defence argued these statements were motivated by the €15,000 reward. An ex-girlfriend testified that in 1996, Yoss showed up at her door crying, saying something had happened a year earlier that he couldn't tell her. Whether this was related to Nicole's death remains unclear. The prosecution suggested that the disappearance of Yoss's Mercedes vehicle also fit the scenario that he was possibly trying to erase traces of the crime. They argued that it was 2.28 million times more likely than not that S.D.D.C was one of the men whose DNA was found on Nicole. They dropped the murder charge in favour of manslaughter and sexual assault, seeking the maximum 14-year sentence in such cases. On the 21st of November 2016, the court convicted S.D.D.C of sexual assault, but acquitted him of manslaughter, citing the possibility of another suspect. He was sentenced to just 5 years in prison, with the court noting that he had been legally insane at the time. The public prosecution appealed the manslaughter acquittal, and the case returned to court in 2018. Prosecutors reiterated their request for a 14-year sentence, arguing that the third DNA profile theory was implausible in light of all forensic and tactical evidence. On the 9th of October 2018, the appeals court overturned the earlier decision, convicting S.D.C of both sexual assault and manslaughter and sentencing him to 12 years behind bars. The Dutch Supreme Court upheld this verdict on June the 16th of 2020, closing one of the country's most high-profile cold cases. Nicole van den Hurk's story is not only one of a life lost, but also of the persistence of justice. The case spanned a quarter of a century, tested the limits of forensic science, and highlighted both the strengths and vulnerabilities of criminal investigations. Nicole's father, Ed van den Hurk, said of the conviction of S.D.C, quote, "Justice at last. We can start processing." Stepmother Yolanda said the sentence length didn't matter, quote, "Even if he only gets 5 days, as long as he is considered the one who took our daughter off the world." For Nicole's family, the verdict could never undo their loss, but it brought a measure of resolution. For investigators, it was a reminder that even decades-old cases can yield answers when science, persistence, and truth converge.